DJ Moore is one of those guys that was a waiver wire pickup early on in the season. I talked about him on the show. I said that he was a good guy to pick up. Chris Godwin was another good guy at the beginning of the season for waiver wires, but let's be honest, everybody who's playing fantasy football right now, this is the last week and we're going into playoffs. So the only thing you guys need to pay attention to now is matchups. And I can't help you with that. You got to do that yourself. It's pretty easy to do that on the internet. But so I'm going to talk about DraftKings instead. See if I can make you some money when you lost in your playoff woes because you listened to me on my fantasy football talks.
There you go.
Devlin Hodges for $5,100 this week, I think, is a steal. Cleveland's defense is just so hit or miss that he could easily be a very good quarterback to take this week for the price. And that's going to get you a low salary quarterback, which will give you more salary for the rest of the team. Another low salary guy this week is Derrick Carr. They got him at $5,500 because they're facing the Chiefs. I think that's almost disrespectful, but whatever. Jonathan Williams, he's $5,300. Marlon Mack is still out. They're talking about Mack could be back by the end of the season, but that's not this week. So for $5,300, that's a good starting running back. Kareem Hunt seems to be finding the end zone pretty easily, and he's only $5,500 as well. James Washington, he was the favorite target of Mason Rudolph because they played together in college. His value is only $5,000. I think he could honestly be a steal. Devlin Hodges is a pretty good quarterback. Darren Waller, $5,500 going against the Chiefs. I think they love to give the middle of the field up, so I think that would be pretty easy to get for $5,500. Yep. Greg Olsen is the value tight end in my opinion because he's only $4,400 this week, and they're going against a pretty bad Washington defense. As far as defenses this week goes to buy, the cheapest one I saw for like the good deals was the Rams defense this week. They got a pretty weak matchup, and I think that defense will do wonders for you if you pick them up this week. What do you got to talk about?
Just a couple of wide receivers I really want to discuss, and one of them you hit, and that's Juju Smith-Schuster will not be playing. He's ruled out, so I definitely would get that for $5,000 or $5,000 for the call. That's a great value pick. That one I think is almost a guarantee to put on your roster for sure. Another one due to injury is on the New York Giants. Golden Tate will not be playing, and nor will Ingram. So look for Sterling Shepard, who is just returning from injury, to maybe make a big impact for that game against the Packers. I like that pickup as well, and he's probably not expensive because he hasn't really showed up in the last few weeks due to injury. And then one more on the wide receiver side, and this is against New England Patriots, so a lot of questions might come up. But Stephon Gilmore will be putting a lot of pressure on Hopkins, so Will Fuller should have a great game. He had a great game last week, and then a couple weeks back, he had a game that made Deshaun Watson throw over 5 touchdown passes. I think Will Fuller could really break out against this New England defense. And I think that'll be a key to victory if Houston wants to win this one. So those are my three when he looks at wide receivers. And all of them should be pretty good value plays. Will Fuller are probably the most expensive out of the bunch, but don't be afraid to go and take a risk on one of those three.
All righty. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Tough Talk. Is there anything else you want to touch on real quick before we cut off? Did you hear me? I think we're having a technical issue. Is there anything else you want to say, Christian? Okay, I think we're having technical difficulties, so I'm going to go and just end it there.
Thanks for listening to the Tough Talk Podcast. Be sure to tune in every Friday as we break down all the major sports topics for the week. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on Twitter at Tough Talk Pod.